Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy The Fulfills. I'm back again with another YouTube video. Today we have some more Bleach Rebirth of Souls. We have another how-to guide and we're going to be covering Shuhei Hisagi for this one. Before we do this though, I want to quickly shout out, I want to pull up the comment on screen right now. Shout out to this person who was actually the reason why I'm actually making this guide today. But quickly before we get into this guide though, if this is your first time seeing me on your screen, if you're new to the channel, over here we pretty much cover everything fighting game based alongside other variety stuff that piques my interest. If you don't want to see more Bleach guides, I do plan on covering every single character in this game in depth. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and leave a like, comment and share as well. I'd appreciate it. Alright, let's go straight into the guide. And by the way, this guide is going to be broken down into different parts. It might be a bit longer than the previous one, so make sure you guys stay until the end so you can really get a full grasp of the full character in depth. Alright guys, this character here really surprised me. I was not expecting to find the things I found with this character. And there's a few things I haven't seen anybody else show with this character as well, which I'm really excited to show here. But, put it simple, this character is a guard-breaking demon. This character is a guard-breaking demon. And we're gonna dive deep into that. Okay, first of all, let me quickly demonstrate what I do with every character. He has his standard quick attack string, 3 hitting, which is safe on block. Now his flash attack is unsafe on block, however. Whether you do 1 hit or if you commit to the other hits, to the second hit. Both are unsafe on block, so keep that in mind. Only your quick attacks are safe on block there. Alright, now let me quickly demonstrate his special flash attack. That is forward and your flash attack button. He does this sliding move, he slides into you, it got pretty good range. And he does 2 attacks. The first attack is the slide, and the second attack is a swing of his sword. This doesn't really combo, since you can block the first hit and get attacked by the second hit. However, I do want to mention this is unsafe. This is not a safe move. Even if you space it, the second hit is still not safe. So you have to be careful with this. The property this move does have is that it beats projectiles. He actually can slide underneath projectiles. So let me switch to Bankai Ichigo and show you that. Okay, so let me make Ichigo throw a projectile real quick. Let's do that here. And then he's gonna block straight away. Here we go. So now if I do this, I get the range right. This into block. As you can see, that does go underneath, but I would need to time this a lot better to reach from here. Get the timing. Like this. Right? So it does go underneath, it does go underneath projectiles. Not so much underneath, I believe this actually has projectile invincibility. Yeah, it just has projectile invincibility. It's not necessarily going underneath. It simply beats the projectile. One thing I do want to say about this though is that a lot of the time, this won't be done on a reaction, simply because projectiles are really quick. As you can see right now, I'm getting hit, because projectiles are really quick. And this is the range where you would actually reach your opponent, right? The range where you will be able to react a lot of the time would be around here. And it's not really effective, because you don't actually reach your opponent. Matter of fact, you leave yourself open. So I think this move is not very good when it comes to being an anti-projectile move. It's good as a read. If you know your opponent's going to throw it, then fair play. But if not, it's very risky to simply throw out. And the startup on it is quite a lot too. So be mindful how you want to use this move. Okay, now moving on to his other special moves. This is where things start getting a bit tricky. This is where there's a lot of information to take in. So bear with me here. This character is a lot more interesting than I thought. Okay, quickly I want to discuss a mechanic that is unique to Shuhei. He has a fear mechanic, which is the meter above my spiritual pressure meter. It's currently empty. I haven't filled it up yet, but I'll show you what that looks like in a second. So essentially what this mechanic is that the higher amount of fear stocks he has, the more damage he deals to his opponent, and some of his actions changes. So some of his moves actually completely change, which also changes how the character's played. So I'm going to show you guys all of this, and just bear with me because it's a lot of information. Okay, first of all, I'm gonna set Ichigo to block everything that I do. So let's go ahead and do that. So the dummy is now guarding everything. That's amazing. Okay, so first I want to look at his signature move. His signature move is this little Wind Blast 10 run. It doesn't have the most amount of range. As you can see from here, it doesn't even reach. However, it is safe on block. So if I do get Ichigo to counter me here with a quick attack, I'm able to block after this. So it's safe. And it does do damage to the opponent's guards. Pretty decent amount. So if I show you the guard damage here, put it to normal, you can see his guard going down a little bit. It's not anything crazy, but all of this is going to add up when you guys see how this character's played. And on here, of course, it just sort of blasts the enemy, but he doesn't go anywhere, he kind of stays there. So it doesn't really knock them down. That's one thing. So it's nothing crazy, it's decent. Okay, now let's go into his specials. First off, we have his SP1. Set the dummy to guard again. Here's his SP1 here, the Shackle Hole. Now, this has a certain property where the opponent is in a guarding state for a certain period amount of time. You see that? I have Ichigo set to attack me straight after blocking, but he's stuck in this guard animation for a very long time. This gives you a lot of time to do whatever you want. For example, I can go for a 3-hit string, right? I can go for flash attack, even though I don't think that's a great idea yet. However, you cannot go for a breaker. As you can see, when he's in this guard state, the breaker can be blocked. This is probably the only time in this game I'm seeing a breaker able to be in blocks. So keep that in mind, that you cannot just throw out SP1 and then go for a mix-up trying to throw them or go for your breaker. It won't work. It'll be blocked. However, as you can see, since this forces your opponent to block, and again, I told you this character is a guard break demon, because you're able to make them block here, you can do things like this. And look at the amount of guard that he's losing, the amount of guard meter he's losing. Eventually that's gonna break. If I do something like this, you see that? This character is going to easily break people's guards because they're constantly having to block a lot of things, and if they don't block, they can also die for it. So this is already giving you guys a little bit of how this character is going to be played. Now we need to talk about his SP1 on hit. I've shown you what it's like on block. I need to show you guys what it's like on hit and what you can do from it. So here you go. Right, seen it on hit. It's just a normal blast, nothing crazy, right? Now the way that this move can be applied is after your flash attack. This is also a setup that I'm going to be going back to multiple times within this video, so keep that in mind. After you completed your flash attack, you go into SP1, and at this range you can set up a lot of things. So here I'm going to set Ichigo to wake up with a quick attack, the fastest thing you can do. I'm going to do the same setup I just showed you. From here you can get dash up. Let me do that again. From there you can get a dash up into a quick attack. Like that. Right? And that is pretty much a good setup you can get there. Right? That works. And he's unable to hit you. Now, let me show you what this beats and what this loses to. Quickly, something I want to mention. From this setup here, you're able to get your quick attack, right? You can also go for a mix-up. You can also go for a breaker. If I show you here, go. You can do the same setup. Do it again, here we go. You can go for a breaker mix-up. So you can mix up with your quick attack and go for a breaker. Very good mixer. This mix is extremely strong. Now, let me show you the options that actually this beats and what it can also lose to, just so you know what the mind game is when you're going for this. Right, so going for the breaker here actually beats the quick attack. So if I do flash attack, SP1, breaker, you see how that beat the wake up quick attack? Just simply don't dash before you do it. You do it straight away and it beats the quick attack. And of course, if you want to go for quick attack, you do the dash and you get your quick attack as well. So that is 2 options that beat wake up quick attack from that setup. Very strong. Beats the quick attack. Doesn't work. Now, if you go into the breaker and the opponent does a counter breaker in this situation, show you what that looks like. This loses if your opponent wakes up and they counter your breaker with theirs. This will not work. So keep that in mind. That is a counterplay. That is one of the counterplays. Now, if you're going up against a Shuhei, probably one of the best things you can do to counter this setup or this situation as a whole is to teleport. Use your flash step. So let me show you what that looks like and what that counters and beats. Set him to do the ho-ho. I do the same thing here. Now watch this. See that? Now he actually is able to teleport behind me. If I also try to go for dash or quick attack, also loses. Dash or quick attack also loses there. So that is something you can do to avoid both outcomes. However, you have to use your meter to do so. So it costs you. You have to spend something. Now you'd think to yourself, if my opponent always has meter, how do I ever go for this setup? So now I'm going to show you an anti-flash step setup, or ho-ho as they call it. I'll show you an anti-ho-ho setup in order to beat that option too. So what you're going to want to do after your flash attack, you're going to do SP1. And after you do this SP1, you're going to want to instantly dash and do another SP1. Of course, this will require meter, so you have to make sure you have enough meter to use it twice. This is what it looks like. It's another one. And as you can see, he was unable to teleport before the second one. And that was not a combo, by the way. Those were 2 individual attacks. They didn't combo together. However, my special move hit so meaty that he didn't have enough frames. He didn't have enough time to actually teleport as he was getting up there. So that sets you up. Right? That sets you up. Now, as to the options after that, if you try to go for your breaker, it will not work. Breaker will not work there. So as long as they actually have meter, you cannot go for your breaker in this situation. I also want to mention this situation here. Quick attack and breaker also beats it. So you won't be able to beat the quick attack or the breaker in that situation. So make sure you be careful. You won't be able to beat it with your breaker. Okay, as I mentioned before, this character has a fear mechanic, right? So when this character gets to a certain amount of fear level, let's call it level 2, since there's 3 different levels. Once he gets to level 2 fear, his SP1 changes to a different move. So let me go ahead and accumulate the fear and show you what changes. But in order to do this, we have to lose lives. Either your opponent has to lose lives and you have to lose lives as well. Both of them count towards your fear. Okay, now, as you can see above my spiritual pressure gauge, I have quite a few levels of fear. How many is that if I count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I believe 8 stocks. That brings me to level 2. And if I use my SP1, this changes to Sokatsui, and it is a Hado, which is blue. Before it was actually orange, right, with the Shaka hole. So this changes. 1, this does more damage now. That's one thing. 2, the properties of this also change on block. So let me show you. As you saw before, on block, when you use your SP1, the opponent was stuck in this blocking animation for quite a while. If I set my opponent to block here, that animation no longer happens. Let me make him attack me as well, right after blocking. So he's gonna block and do a quick attack straight away. See that? Now he's able to. This no longer staggers your opponent in block stun. So that's one thing to mention. You might think, oh, this is a nerf. Why do you level up and your character gets nerfed? This is not a nerf. This is simply a change in how this character operates. Let me show you some of the positive sides of this. One, you're still safe, so you're able to block. So you're not going to get punished if your opponent blocks this. You're still safe. That's a positive, but that's similar to what it was before the power up, right? But now, you remember the setup I showed you from the flash attack, right? I said we're going to be revisiting that setup quite a lot. Now, a lot of things change with that setup when it comes to you leveling up your fear. So if I do the same thing, flash attack, sorry, he's blocking again for some reason. There you go. If I do the same here, flash attack, into SP1, from this, right? If I was to go into the breaker when I was in level 1 of fear, and he did a counter breaker, I would lose in that situation. However, now that I'm in level 2, if I go for a breaker, something very weird happens. Something very weird happens. So if I go for a breaker off of the exact same setup, but I'm in level 2 of fear, all of a sudden, my breaker loses, he wins the first breaker, but then I automatically do another breaker and it counters his. It's like he counters me and I counter him. It's very weird, but that's what ends up happening. Let me show you what that looks like. So I do this into the same thing. I lose. So let me do that again. I don't think I even pressed it. Here we go. Hold on. There we go. 1 into breaker. And as you can see, I counter his breaker automatically there. It is very weird, but this is crazy. It counters the breaker. Very weird the way that works. I haven't yet seen that with any other character, but this is very awkward here. Very awkward. And as you can see, the interaction is a little bit jank sometimes. We just traded before. But most of the time here, this will be pretty consistent for you to win that. So that's one of the things that changes once you get into fear level 2. This specific setup, you're able to get your breaker and it would beat your opponent's counter breaker. Now, if your opponent, instead of going for a breaker, if they were to wake up with a quick attack, now that you're in level 2, go for your breaker, you would lose to the quick attack, so keep that in mind. The mind games are changing. Every time you level up or down, the mind games are changing. This loses to quick attack, but beats the breaker. Something else also changes. Now that you're in level 2 of fear, when you land this SP1, you're able to go for a dash up quick attack a lot easier than you would if you were still in level 1. The timing has been eased. So if you see here, the timing is actually a lot easier. This is something you guys will have to try. You'll see that the timing is a bit more strict when you're in level 1 as opposed to being in level 2. The timing for landing the quick attack is a lot easier. Now, as you may imagine, this setup does lose to flash step. Just like level 1, it does lose to that too. Now, as for doing the dash up quick attack, if you want your quick attack to beat the teleport, the timing is extremely strict. Extremely strict, and most of the time, unless you have it really down, you're able to miss it. Let me try and miss it on purpose. Like that, right? So the timing is really strict. If you actually want it to hit, you have to be very, very quick with it. But it is possible. However, the breaker will lose. Now, here comes the broken stuff. Here comes the broken stuff. So up until now, we've had the same setup we keep going back to, right? But it kept losing to something. If it didn't lose to quick attack, it lost to a breaker. If it didn't lose to a breaker, it lost to a flash step, right? AKA a teleport, right? However, once you're in level 2, if you want an anti-teleport setup, you do the exact same thing that you would do if you was in level 1 in order to have an anti-teleport. However, in level 2, it was completely different. Let me show you. If I do flash attack, SP1, dash up, instant the SP1. Let me do that again. Flash attack, SP1, dash up SP1. He's unable to teleport, right? Now, on the second SP1, you go for the breaker. Dash up SP1, breaker. Unable to teleport. You see that? Not able to teleport there. The breaker won. So this is a setup that beats every single option there. Beats every option. If I was to also make him quick attack, just to show you guys. If I was to make him quick attack instead of teleporting, I'll show you what that looks like. Also beats the quick attack. If I was to make him do a breaker, let me show you what that looks like as well. So he's going to try and do a breaker on his wake up, as I do mine. See that? I also beat the breaker. I beat every single option. This is insane. This beats every single option there. Now, that's what changes with his level 2 of fear. He has a 3rd level of fear, which I'm going to get to right now. So let me accumulate those fear stocks and we'll get back to it. Okay, now we have enough stocks. We are currently in the level 3 of fear. Let me show you what changes, what his new special move is. Here you go, SP1. It turns into a new move, as you can see. Now, this move is a lot different. Let me quickly show you what it is on block. The first level, when you did it on block, as we saw before, he was stuck into a guard animation for a while. The second one didn't do that, however, you were safe on block, so your opponent couldn't harm you afterwards. The third level of his fear, done on block, you're actually plus on block. So if I make the dummy hit me after blocking straight away, like this, right? Like this. As you can see, if I press a button, I'm actually plus on block, meaning I can steal another turn. So again, all 3 of his special moves change depending on the level. Here, it's my turn again. I'm plus on block. So again, the utility for this move has completely changed from what it was before. Once again, you do more damage and etc., right? This move can be used, of course, as combo filler, of course, to finish off combos and stuff like that. That's fine. I'm sure most of you guys already knew it or used it that way. Going back to this setup here we've been doing this whole time, a lot of things changes when you're in level 3 now. You do your flash attack. Let me make him not block. I don't know why I keep making that mistake. Here we go. So on the hit, on the wake up, he's going to do a quick attack here. I go for the setup. 1. As you can see, going for a breaker there beats the quick attack. Similar to the level 2, right? Beats the quick attack there. It also beats wake up breaker. So if they try to counter breaker here, you would instantly beat the breaker. However, there's a difference in this one. In level 2, when your breaker beat theirs, you would still lose that. You would lose health because they break yours and then you counter back. However, when you're in level 3, there's no fuss. You simply win. There's no countering and then re-countering. You simply win. You win the first encounter. Look at this. You simply instantly win. Now, as you can imagine, this does lose to teleport. Does lose to the flash step. However, again, we have an anti-teleport setup here, which is the same as before. You want to dash up into another one. Let me time that. Oh, I actually want to mention, the timing on this changes when you go from level to level, only for the third one. Level 1 and level 2 timing is the same. For level 3, you have to delay it a little bit. Otherwise, it'll miss. If I don't delay it, This is literally what will happen. You see that? I did it too soon. So I actually have to delay it a little bit. Like that, so that it would hit. Okay, now when you're in level 3 here, in order to stop them from doing a flash step, you have options here. You can do your flash attack into SP1, into dash up flash attack. Now this is actually perfectly timed. It's manual. It's automatically timed, as long as you do it as quick as possible. That it will basically stop anything. They can't teleport, they can't press a button, they can't break. This is perfectly timed, meaty for it to hit. Dash up flash attack. The only downside of this is that you're unsafe after a flash attack. You're not safe. If they do block it, you can be punished. But of course, you can go into another SP1 if you have the meter for it and be plus unblock anyways. So it wouldn't really matter. What else you can do to keep a bit more safe is go for dash up into quick attack. However, this one is not as easy to time as the flash attack. As you saw there, I actually mistimed it. This one is not auto-timed. It's not auto-timed at all. There you go. Managed to get it that time. That one's not auto-timed. I don't recommend always going for that, simply because it's very easy to mess up. I would recommend more so going into a second SP1, delay the timing a little bit, and go into a second one. Let me do that again. This. Like that. I recommend doing that a bit more, simply because it's a lot more viable than going for your quick attack. The quick attack is very inconsistent. You have to be really, really specific. Flash attack though, going for flash attack there is very good, simply because it's timed for you. Flash attack is just simply timed for you. So quickly before we move on, I want to talk about his overall game plan. I feel like I've talked a lot about his moveset and what they do and how it can be used. Let's talk a bit about his overall game plan when you're actually playing the game. This character is a guard break menace. Now, all of his moves are used in order to break your opponent's guard. Those are the intentions outside of the mix-up opportunities when you actually hit your opponent. Everything he does on block is insane. If I set him to guard here, you obviously have your lights, which are safe. This alone, just as for every character, does a decent amount of guard damage, as you can see there. But now you can also go into your specials and still be plus afterwards. So this character can keep on using specials as long as he's got meter in order to keep them blocking and essentially breaking your opponent's guard very easily. Even if we look at his signature move, which doesn't have a crazy amount of utility, right? But even that is safe. It's something you can simply just throw out to tickle your opponent's guard meter. Look at that. Look at that. And that's safe. You can't get punished for this unless they teleport maybe. Unless they go for a flash step straight away. But this has a really good amount of guard meter. And you have all of your specials, your SP1. Now the main thing that changes from fear level to fear level is the fact that he becomes a lot more of an offensive character the higher he goes. Base level fear, he's more so just trying to chip out a lot of your guard meter. The more he goes up, the more there's more mix-up potential, and he actually ends up being a lot more scary to your actual health, damage-wise. And then when he's at level 3, you're at the mercy of just taking in a lot of plus frames. Okay, we've covered his SP1. Let's go to his SP2. This is a second special move here. What's it called? Warrior's Poison Squad. This is pretty much like a parry stance. When he's in this stance, if he gets attacked, it goes into a transition. So let me just show you what that looks like. Go. If I get hit here, goes into this attack here, which does a lot of damage, by the way. Does a lot of damage here. This is probably his most damaging special he has out of the two, which is fair enough, as it's pretty risky to throw out, because if they don't attack you, they simply wait for the recovery of it and then you get smoked. What you can do with this move is wait until you see the animation of a move about to hit you. Maybe it's I don't know, maybe you're playing against like a Renji or someone with pretty good range and they're lunging at you and you can see it from afar. You could use this, bait them into attacking you, and get rewarded for it. Alright, now that we've talked about his base form, let's look at his Bankai. Just only a couple things to mention here. So he goes into his Bankai, and one, the range of his attacks changes. Even his quick attacks have pretty much the same amount of range since the first hit's only there. His flash attack gets a lot more range, so much so that if you're close to your opponent, you don't even hit him. You don't hit your opponent from this range with flash attack, it won't reach. Even here, you have to actually be quite far away to reach with a flash attack here. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, the range on your attacks all change. Now this flash attack, the second hit of your flash attack is unsafe. The first hit, if you just keep it there, you're relatively safe here against most characters. Maybe some characters with more range may be able to reach you with something. Someone like Ichigo here simply hasn't really got the range. So if you keep it there, you're alright for the most part. However, you want to be hit confirming this, because if you do the second attack, you're now unsafe. So if you commit to the second attack, which gives you this entire animation, you're no longer safe on block there. Now, if you want to stay safe after you do your first flash attack, you can cancel that into quick attack. So if you do flash, cancel into his quick attack, you remain safe. See that? You remain safe there. Right, in terms of what changes when he's in Bankai as well, he's pretty much a more powered up version, he gets more damage. Of course, the main part is that fact that he gets so much more range, whereas before he suffered with range, all he had was his SP1. You know, he didn't really have any ranged attacks apart from sliding in, which was unsafe. Now he has a safe way to sort of attack you from longer ranges without putting himself at risk. That's a huge buff in his Bankai form. Something else I want to mention is, once again, the setup that I showed you guys. We're going to have to revisit that one more time. Right, so the setup I showed you guys, we'll have to revisit here. Works the exact same, pretty much. As long as you get your flash attack into your SP1, you can go for it. But what changes here is that when you're in Bankai state, you're able to land dash up into quick attack pretty much consistently every time. So if I show you here, remember when you were dash up quick attack here? Now when you was in fear level 3, going for dash up quick attack was inconsistent. I'll even advise you guys to not go for it a lot of the time because it's very iffy, right? I advise you guys to go for flash attack because it landed all the time. It was automatically timed for you, right? However, in Bankai state, it doesn't matter anymore. You can always go for pretty much the safest option you possibly want to go for. Dash up, quick attack. This is auto timed now. This is now auto timed. You can always get this, which is perfect because you no longer need to really take a risk. I missed it there, but that was my fault. Do that again. There you go. It's pretty much automatically timed for you. So that is a big change. And yeah, I find this character really interesting because I wasn't expecting one mix-up to have so many different possibilities depending on his fear level. But yeah, I find that very interesting. And this no longer matters what level you are, by the way. This dash up into quick attack, it doesn't matter what level you are, as long as you're in Bankai. As long as you're in Bankai, whether you're level 1 of fear, level 2 or level 3, you'll be able to auto time this easily. So once again, quick summary, this character can be played in a defensive way with his parry. He stays very safe a lot of the time using his SP1. He gets a lot of plus frames and can get a lot of pressure the higher up you go in levels. He becomes a mix-up god a lot of the time if you got the mix-ups and setups. This character can pretty much do everything. When he goes into Bankai, now he has all this range, which he didn't have before. This character is heavily slept on right now, and I think he's very, very strong in this game currently. People definitely need to explore him a lot more. But okay, this has been my how-to Shuhei Hisagi. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I think this is going to be, when I edit this, I think it's going to be quite a long video. Hopefully I didn't keep you guys for too long. But let me know if you guys enjoyed this guide. Once again, I'll be picking someone from the comments who tells me which character they want me to cover next, and I will make that the next one. Let me know in the comments, which character should I cover next? I plan on doing every character in the game regardless. But yeah, are you guys going to be trying out Shuhei Hisagi after seeing this guide? Let me know. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends if anyone's interested in this game. This is a guy that could potentially help them out. Anyways, until next time, appreciate you guys watching the video. Peace.